What's the most important issue in the governor's race here in Virginia?
Getting back to the basics of teaching children, not teaching them critical race theory.
And what is critical race theory?
Well, I'm not going to get into the specifics of it because I don't understand it that much, but it's something that what little bit that I know I don't care for.
And what have you heard that you don't?
Well,
that you don't like?
I'm not going to, I don't have that much knowledge on it, but it's something that I don't care for.
Force the vote sure was a failure. 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 Force the vote sure was a failure.
Sam, if I could just get this sentence out. Sam, if I could just get this
Force the vote sure was a failure. Force the vote sure was a failure.
Sam, if I could just get this sentence out.
Force the vote sure was a failure.
Just get this. If I could get this sentence out. If I could get the sentence out. Get the sentence out. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. We can talk. We can talk about Jimmy.
Force the vote sure was a failure.
We can talk about.
Force the vote sure was a failure. 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 Force the vote sure was a failure.
Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow.
Force the vote sure was a failure. 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 Force the vote sure was a failure.
We can talk. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow, and I still believe in force the vote.
Force the vote sure was a failure. Force the vote sure was a failure.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
No, seriously, hot sauce. I've been eating a lot of hot sauce, a lot of raw peppers and hot sauce.
I hate the white man. He's of the devil. He was made in a cave in the worst parts of Europe, produced from the lowest forms of humanity.
Get back in the business of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap.
But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anybody hurt. It's a very tough period of time. There's never been a time like this where such a thing happened.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
Hello? Hello? What is poppin', folks? Is this thing on? Is this thing on?
In my opinion, it's never too late. So, little double sound deck.
Anyway, so we got a show here today. Hello. Got a show here today. And as well as tomorrow, presumably. I assume I'll be doing a show tomorrow. I mean, anything could happen. I think my mouse is going. I'm gonna have to get a new one soon. I don't know. But anyway, I got a show for y'all to enjoy this morning. So I'm gonna get into the show. Yeah, so let's get through today's show first. Yeah, it's a good goal. It's a lofty goal, really, when you think about it. Not to be confused with Lofty Castle, the level in Spyro the Dragon, of course, which is a good level. It's pretty good. Got this like strand of hair that's like not complying. It's the anti-vaxxer of hairs. I want to get Max over here. Maxie. Whoa. Maxie. So confused. Yeah, the castle owes me a lot of money. He owes me a lot of money. In fact, let's see how much money Hive is worth. Folks, yesterday I had a great day. I want to share with you all a chart as soon as this dog allows me to do so. So this is a chart. It exists. So I'd like to remind everyone that I like cryptocurrencies. Some people may be upset by that. Now, I also want to remind everyone, I got most of these cryptocurrencies at 20 cents. And as you can see by this chart, it's a lot higher than 20 cents. So, now, am I going to say that I'm a very smart person? Am I going to say that I am the queen of the universe? Yes, I am going to say those things and more, as in I am highly intelligent and Max gets a new toy. So I made the goal that if this hits $1 again, I will buy Max toy. So now Max gets to reap the rewards. This is the Hive cryptocurrency, for those of you wondering. Which for those of you that don't know, an old friend of mine who turned into a Trump supporter, over the course of Trump's presidency. He was not a Trump supporter in 2016, but I don't know, something happened to that motherfucker. We bet 2,000 of these Hive tokens that Trump was going to lose the 2020 election. So if he lost the 2020 election, he would give me 2,000 Hive tokens. And at the time, Hive was like 30 cents. At the time? Right? So, as we can see here, as this is visible, I still have yet to receive my tokens. I still have yet to receive the winning amount because he turned into a Stop the Steal person. And so, in an effort not to pay off the wager that he lost, he turned into a Stop the Steal January 6th person. Like, I don't think he was there, but, like, he supported the insurrection. And so what would have been, like, $600, I'm waiting, and it's now, like, you know, around $2,000 that the castle owes me. For those of you that don't know, the castle is the online username of the individual who, one of the individuals of two who participated in developing the Doom 2 No Rest for the Living add-on that was released with the BFG edition on Xbox. So he is an actual like game developer. Well, at least he was. I don't know what he's up to now, but but now he's a Donald Trump super fan, and he still owes me 2,000 Hive tokens, and I am glad to accept the payment now. I am very happy to accept the payment now. But I'm also down with waiting a little longer. That's fine with me. But anyway, so that's a little story for y'all. A little bit of a tale. But yeah, so I made a good amount of money last night. Let's go into the protest. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, that's really one of those things where it's like, you know, it's really crazy to experience, like, people that seem normal, and then, like, Donald Trump comes around, and then, like, you know, like, they just completely, like, I mean, if, again, like, 5 years does a number on a person. You know, like, relatively normal person, Donald Trump runs for president, and then 4 years later, you're trying to overthrow U.S. democracy. You know, it's like, you know, it's certainly very interesting. It's certainly very interesting. So. But, you know. All right, folks. Let's get it. Yesterday was day 209 of protest in the city of Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and the county of Pasquotank County, North Carolina, over the police assassination of Andrew Brown Jr. that took place on April 21st, 2021. And so new details surfaced last week that showed how Deputy Daniel Meads, one of the 7 Pasquotank sheriff deputies who arrived at the scene to assassinate Andrew Brown Jr., tampered with evidence by trying to hide the amount of bullets that he fired, trying to hide them, change his magazines, pick up shell casings, all that kind of stuff. But he's also really dumb and didn't realize that one of his other assassins was filming him do so. So, whoops. But it's okay, because after Andrew Brown Jr. was assassinated, he won. He got 6 weeks of paid vacation time, and he got a salary bump. That's right. When Andrew Brown Jr. was killed, the officers that killed him got several weeks of paid vacation. When most Americans are struggling to find a job, Daniel Meads, a hired assassin, a murderer, a homicidal freak, got 6 weeks of paid vacation. He got to sit at home and collect government paychecks to fucking kick up his goddamn cankles on the coffee table and watch whatever's newest fucking garbage on fucking Hulu or HBO Max. Then, when he gets back into the office after his real rough and tiring vacation, he got a salary bump. The entire sheriff's department got a raise. After murdering Andrew Brown Jr. More details that were released last week show that the sheriff deputies went in without an arrest warrant. All they had was a search warrant. And they knew ahead of time that Andrew Brown had no weapons. They knew ahead of time he was unarmed. And yet, they still went after him with assault rifles, AR-15s, and Glocks. They shot and massacred a father of 7 children who they knew was unarmed. 7 sheriff deputies with assault weapons? Make it make sense. And they didn't have an arrest warrant, they had a search warrant. Make it make sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. And so we've been out here for 209 days in a row. And, it's horrifying that these are the things that have to happen in the world that we live in, where most Americans can hardly find consistent work during this pandemic. The government is paying people to sit at home, not to stop the spread of coronavirus. That's too much. You can't pay Americans to sit at home to stop the spread of a deadly disease. No. But the government can give you a paycheck and a gun. You can murder someone with that gun, and then you get paid vacation. Maybe more Americans should sign up for police officers. It only takes 8 months in Pasquotank County. That's right. By this time next year, you can have already become a cop, killed someone, and be enjoying your 6 weeks of paid vacation. Think about it. Also, while we were on our demonstration, we had some very interesting individuals shout, "Let's go, Brandon," at us. So I wanted to show this. These folks, these lovely individuals. They also... I didn't know this at the time because I didn't see, but I'm glad I got this on camera. Not only did they shout, "Let's go, Brandon," at protesters against police brutality, has nothing to do with presidential politics at all, right? But the dumb bitch, the stupid fucking cunt, is wearing a "Let's go, Brandon" t-shirt. I mean, you can't make it up, folks. I mean, these people are stupid fucking whores. I mean, again, Like, a police brutality protest has nothing to do with Joe Biden or Donald Trump. 0 times at any of these protests has anyone made any statements about Donald Trump or Joe Biden. But these stupid, dumb fuck, robot, dumb fuck, cunt fuck motherfuckers try to heckle our protest by screaming, "Let's go, Brandon." What? What? Like, I need you to understand, these are not human beings. They don't have thoughts. They don't have feelings. They don't think. They don't have, they are automatons acting on impulse. Like a lizard that runs underneath, the little crack underneath your front door, right? And then you chase them around the house. They're just running on impulse. You know what I mean? Like a dog when they see a squirrel, right? There's no thought. There's no, anything at all. These are not, they don't have an inner monologue. They don't have a consciousness. These are husks, shells. I mean, look at them. Literally, look at this creature. This is like a fantastical cryptid of some sort. At a police brutality protest, they want to heckle by saying, "Let's go, Brandon." That would be like if you go to Dunkin' Donuts and you order a Boston cream and the person says, "Oh, sorry, we don't have Boston cream." And then you go like, "Oh, darn." And then someone who's waiting behind you in line says, "Let's go, Brandon." What? What? I'm just... What? I sincerely ask you, right? What has to happen in your life for you to be 60, 70 years old? I mean, they look like, maybe they're 40 or 50 and they just don't take care of themselves. But what happens in your life where you are 60 or 70 years old and you are walking around with a "Let's Go Brandon" t-shirt trying to heckle protesters against police brutality? I really... that's the thing. Is for me, for us, I feel like I can speak for the protesters here. We don't like Joe Biden either. Right? So if you were to say fuck Joe Biden, we would say, yeah. We would say yes. That's what we would say. We would say, yes, fuck Joe Biden. But instead, these little pussy bitch cunts say, "Let's go, Brandon." Like children. Like actual children. Like toddlers. You know, they say that pigs, like the animal pig, not the officer, pigs, adult pigs, are smarter than the average 3-year-old. They say an octopus, like the creature, is as smart, as intelligent as a 4 or 5-year-old. Scientific studies suggest these things. I am going to go out on a limb and say that pigs and I would even say Max the dog behind me, woofing it up, are smarter than these dumb fuck Karen bitches. Again, Maxie. See, even Max is upset. I hate to sidetrack this video with this, but this is what we deal with in Elizabeth City. The other side of this conversation is so far removed from anything that has to do with anything, that when you bring up justice for someone that was murdered by the police department, when you even suggest that, their response is the latest hashtag they saw on Twitter. Like, they don't have any, oh, Andrew Brown was a drug dealer. They don't have any of those things to say. What they say is, let's go, Brandon. Like, it boggles the mind, folks. It boggles the mind. It's fascinating. It is fascinating that this human being, alleged human being, somehow survived on planet Earth for 60 or 70 years. I mean, they look like shit. Like, I'm going to be honest. They look like shit. Like, I know people in my family that are like 80 and they look better than this. So I'm just throwing that out there. But again, like, they drive cars. Like, think about, like, this thing drives cars. Like, machines that can operate at like 70 miles per hour. They drive cars. Think about, like, when you think about how dumb people on the road are, just think that there are, in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, there is Let's Go Brandon people driving cars. Like, when you're walking on a crosswalk and you know the light is red, right, but the car is still, like, coming to a stop, you never know if that person is even going to stop because they could be wearing a Let's Go Brandon t-shirt. Like, I really, like, I know, and I'm sorry that I'm just harping on this so much, but it's incredible. And then you got the other one. Look at the other, like, thing 1 and thing 2. Like, look at this. I'm trying to, you know, but I was focused on this one because this one is the more obnoxious. There we go. Thing 1 and thing 2. Hold up. You hear that? You hear that? Listen. 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 Let's go, Brandon. That is what, like, their brain, like, synapses somewhere, neurons firing, and they think, you know how we can own these protesters that have been out here every day for 209 days standing up for something that's righteous? You know how we can own them after we sit at home all day and collect paychecks from the Pasquotank PAC, a dark money-funded right-wing psychological operation meant to divide and conquer Elizabeth City and Pasquotank County and spread millions and millions and millions of Republican dollars? Because that's who these people are. They work with the Pasquotank PAC, by the way. They sit on their ass at home and collect paychecks from a Republican supergroup. That's their life. They do nothing. They don't work. They don't have anything to say for themselves. Except for, that's all they got. That's all they got? Fucking let's go. Like, like, it's depressing. Like, that shit's depressing. Like, it's depressing. To see that, it's depressing. Like, it makes me want to rip my hair out. To see a human being that's like 70 years old or something, and that is the best they can do. Like, I just, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. It really, like, you could write a book. Like, you could write, like, a trilogy of films on What led to that moment, I feel? Like, you could write a soap opera that lasts, right, for like 60 years, 5 days a week, 1 hour episodes, like General Hospital, right? But like, the very first episode is that moment, and then the rest of the series is how we got there. Like, you could write that soap opera, and you would never run out of material, because like there's just so much going on in that moment that really just makes you think to yourself, like when I wake up in the morning and I walk my dog, right, and I'm making coffee, right, I think about the world, the universe. I think about where I'm at in my life, and, you know, and all that. It's usually, I'm not too happy with it, but like, imagine you wake up and there's just nothing. Like, there's nothing. Like, it's like playing ping pong, right? And you ping the pong, and then the other player is just like, right? So you're like, and then they're like, but the ball is the human being here. Like, the ball, the ping pong are these dumb motherfuckers. No one's guiding them. They're just lost in this world. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, like, it's one thing to read some dumbass motherfucking bullshit on the internet. Right? That's one thing. But this is just a whole, like, when you are in real life, you are outside. You're not looking at a screen. You've been out here for 209 days straight. Right? And then this entitled cunt who accepts paychecks from a millionaire Republican supergroup filled with dark money, wearing a Let's Go Brandon t-shirt. We have been protesting for longer than Let's Go Brandon was even a thing, right? So it's like Let's Go Brandon. Like, like, this is like a fucking, like, this is like the town fool, right? This is like, we're back in the 13th century now. Like, this is like the jester that wears the hat, right? That has like the weird tentacles with the like little fucking like Christmas ornaments on the, right? They're just like, whoop-a! Like, they're running through the fucking village like with their clothes off, right? Like, you know, they're like, you know, they're riding like a sheep through like downtown, right? Like, whoop-a! Wah! And they're like making like, this is the 21st century iteration of like the town fool. You know, like, this is like the class clown. Like, I really, like, I mean, like, it's fascinating. Like, it really is. Like, these aren't people. Umar in the chat, I disagree. These are not people. These are not people. There is nothing you can do to convince me that that's a person. You just can't do it. Like, you could write a scientific study that takes 12 years to, you know, finally get published. It can be peer-reviewed, pending for another decade, and then eventually someone else finds like a hidden variable that they didn't consider that proves that the scientific study is correct. I would not believe it. There is nothing you can tell me to convince me that this is a person. Like, you just can't do it. Like, I mean, again, it's like this motherfucker. Hold up. It's like this motherfucker. I'm sorry. It's just like this.
What's the most important issue in the governor's race here in Virginia?
Getting back to the basics of teaching children, not teaching them critical race theory.
And what is critical race theory?
Well, I'm not going to get into the specifics of it because I don't understand it that much, but it's something that what little bit that I know, I don't care for.
And what have you heard that you don't?
Well,
that you don't like?
I'm not going to. You know, I don't have that much knowledge on it, but it's something that I don't care for.
There is, I swear to you, there is literally nothing you can say. This is a religious belief I have, right? Like, there's, like, you know how with religious people, like, their kid can get killed in a car crash and their mom can die of cancer in 3 weeks and they still believe in God or some shit, right? Dumb as hell, right? But I am at that level when it comes to my belief that these are not humans. These are not people, right? Like, they're not. They're just not. They're really, like, they're just not people. Like, they're just, like, they're cryptids, like, crawling around the fucking...
All of a sudden, we can't talk about Neanderthal DNA anymore.
Like, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. It really is fascinating. I wasn't intending on getting sidetracked like this. I wasn't, but, like, it really is fascinating. Like, I could write, like, a 7,000 page, like, textbook on why this is not a human being. Like, I could spend 12 years of my life, you know, like, doing research and studies to prove, like, to prove that this is a human, and then fail, and then, like, get depressed because I wasted 12 years of my life in my prime trying to prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that this is a human being. It's not. Isn't dehumanizing them obfuscating how they've been indoctrinated and how humans are vulnerable to being propagandized? Okay, now that's a very serious, like, I'm doing, like, a bit right now, but, like, that, yes, that is true. Yes, they've been indoctrinated, yes, that's true, but, like, we're at a point right now where I feel like people that are, like, doing this kind of behavior, right, really, at the end of the day, for someone to get out of a cult, they need to want to get help, right? And what we have in this country is we have the Republican Party is a literal death cult. Like, they don't believe, like, I need y'all, in April of 2020, when the pandemic was really kicking in, Maxie, he's chewing his tail. Stop it, Max. In April of 2020, when the pandemic was really kicking into high gear, 50% of the Republican Party in a poll said they don't wash their hands. Like, that was for me, and again, I'm, you know, more than a year later, it's stuck with me, but I knew when I read that poll, when I saw that study and I read that, I knew we were in for a fuck mother of a pandemic. Right, I knew, half of Republicans don't wash their hands. That, like, they are so far gone that when there is a deadly viral pandemic and they get a phone call and the person on the phone asks them, are you a Republican, Democrat, Independent? They say Republican, and then the next question is, have you washed your hands since the pandemic started? And you tell them no. Now, again, it's one thing if you don't actually wash your hands, right? But to actually be on the phone and say, nope, I don't wash my hands. Like, Now imagine there's probably like another 20 or 30% that like don't actually wash their hands, but they say they will on the phone because it's kind of embarrassing to say, yeah, I don't wash my hands. Right? But 50% said proud and loud, nope, I don't wash my hands. So like, I don't know. Yes. Like, isn't it? Yeah. Like, would I love for them to all change and finally figure out what's going on in the world? Absolutely. If this Karen dumb cunt whore like came up to me tomorrow and said, you know, I don't know what I was thinking. You know, I really thought about it later and it didn't make any sense. I apologize. I would be like, oh my God, are you like, I would literally get down on my knees and like say that I'm the most proudest I've ever been in my life. But that's not going to happen. Right? Because the Republican Party is in a death cult. Right? The goal of the Republican Party is suicide. That's it. There is not a single Republican on planet Earth in this country that does not want to kill themselves and everyone around them. 100% of Republicans are suicidal maniacs. But instead of just pulling the gun on themselves, they want to be the kind of guy that does like a murder suicide. Like, yeah, we want to kill our whole family and then kill ourselves. Like, what the fuck? 50% of Republicans in April of 2020 they said proud on a poll. They got a phone call, motherfucker. Like, there is another human being on that phone asking them, do you wash your hands? And they say, nope. Like, I don't... Like, again, like, am I dehumanizing them? Yes. Well, actually, no. I think they're dehumanizing themselves. They are dehumanizing themselves. Right? Like, what? Like, I ask you this. Someone who answers a phone call and says, I don't wash my hands when there's a deadly pandemic going on. 50%. 1 in 2. You know, like, wow! You know, like, it's incredible. They don't wash their fucking hands, bro. I don't know what to tell you. Like, they're fucking sickening creatures. Yo, we have this dumb fuck in the chat. Comment 1 of 2. Let's check this out. Hold up. Where's the first comment? Because this is a banger right here. I ignored the first one. I can't even find them anymore. Something about atheism. Yeah, atheists are the easiest religion to troll. And then obviously we all just ignored the comment. And then, alright, that's enough autism for a lifetime. What? So, okay, let me get this straight. So, you enter the chat room. Right? Say, atheists are easy to troll. And then literally everyone ignores you. Like, we all just pretend you don't exist. And that makes us autistic in your world. Like, I just... what? But, like, these people, like, they literally, like, again, we got a live one in the chat. They're not real people. Like, let's analyze, right, the very first statement. Atheists are the easiest to troll. If that were true, this chat room is mostly atheists, I would assume. I gotta do that, like, that demographic survey, right? But, like, so, okay, atheists are the easiest to troll. That's why no one replied to you. Like, that, we're so easy to troll that we did not even acknowledge that you exist. But then, you can't just, like, leave and say, well, I failed to troll the atheists. Damn, I'll go to another stream? That's not good enough. You can't do that. So then you say, aight, that's enough autism for ... a lifetime. Like, what does that even mean? Like, I really, like, what's enough autism? What are you even saying? Are you saying the chat is autistic because we didn't acknowledge your attempted troll? That's autism? Because I'm telling you right now, that is not autism. Like, autism is not when you go up to, like, someone in 2nd grade and then, like, shove their books off the fucking desk and they just pretend you don't exist. And then you go, and then they don't do anything. And they're just, like, staring at the wall like David Puddy and Seinfeld, right? Like, that's not autism. Like, I'm telling you, like, there is no autistic behavior present at all in that scenario. But then also, there's, like, the third, like, part of this, where it's, like, in their mind, autism is, like, synonymous with, like, bad people. Like, yeah, bad people are autistic. And so that's why I have to leave the chat room, because they're all so autistic in this chat. They're all evil. They're bad. Look how dumb they are. They're all autistic. Because I wrote some incendiary garbage and no one acknowledged me. Yeah. Those fucking autistics. Like, but that, like, Umar comes into my chat and tries to tell me that that's a human being. Right? Like, you're trying to tell me that that's a human. That I pro-penguin or what, and let's analyze. I pro-penguin is trying to come into my chat room and disparage autistic people because no one cared about their trolling chat message. And Umar is trying to tell me that that's a human being. That's a human fucking being. Nah. Nah. Sorry. Nope. I disagree. That's not a human. That's a dumb fuck. That is subhuman slime. Like, I'm telling you this right now. Subhuman slime.
All of a sudden, we can't talk about Neanderthal DNA anymore.
My God. The only reason people think autism is a disability is because society... Now, think about this. Folks, think about this, right? Okay. Society... Now... imagine how dumb... I know, this is a classic. Imagine how dumb the average motherfucker is. Like, think about it. Like, again, you're going outside, you're doing this, that, all... Now, imagine how dumb the average motherfucker is. Now, you think, that's the average motherfucker. That's, like, in the middle. So, like, half of motherfuckers dumber than that! At least. So, okay. So, we have a society where 51% minimum of the humans on this earth are dumb as fuck. They're dumb as fuck. Like, they are beyond repair. They are just, like, they are gonzo. They are done. Like, that, like, 51% dumb as hell. When you've got a situation where 51% of humans, and that's a minimum, I would argue 70-80%. I mean, again, I can cite the statistic, 95% of Americans don't eat fiber. 95% of Americans are so stupid they can't feed themselves. But I get it. There's a lot of people that are depressed out there that know how to feed themselves but choose not to because, whatever. But, like, it's the same thing with, like, alcoholism is correlated with higher intelligence, that kind of stuff. I say. This is a bit. That being said, so we're at a situation where, let's say, minimum 51% of motherfuckers are dumb as hell, right? But let's go, let's just round that up a little bit, right? 80%. Let's say 80% of society, they're just too far gone. They're just, like, they're just fucking stupid, okay? Like, so and what was society made by? Think about this, right? Society is run right now by people that think weed is as bad as heroin. Think about that. Like, the leaders of our society think marijuana is literally as bad for you as crystal meth. Now, me personally, I think any drug could be useful. It depends on the dosage, right? But again, like, so our society is run by stupid motherfuckers. So this goes back to my point of autism, right? Autism is viewed as a disability because, oh, they don't fit in. Who would want to fit in with that fucking hellhole? Who wants to fit in? Now, think about this. 70% of Americans literally believe in God, angels, talking snakes, like fucking like ghosts that are like watching their every moment. Jesus died on the cross and he's like looking down on you when you're jerking off, right? 70%. They believe that. They believe that. 70% think every time you jerk off and come all over yourself that Jesus is looking down on you and going, God damn it. Right? Like, they think that 70%. They just walk around every day thinking that. Like, and yet autistic people are the ones that are disabled. Hey, I'm just saying. Right? I'm just saying. Autistic people are the ones that are disabled. Meanwhile, you don't wash your hands in a fucking pandemic. Meanwhile, you don't know how to eat vegetables. Meanwhile, you believe in Jesus Christ watching down in the clouds. But yes, autistic people are the disabled ones. I mean, again, if that doesn't tell you what you need to know about autism, I don't know what will. But as far as I'm concerned, and as far as anyone who knows anything about anything should be concerned, if someone believes in Jesus Christ and they think autism is a disability, I got news for you. I think you have it the other way around. But anyway, I'm going off on, wow, it's already 10:54. What the fuck? All right, I wanted to cover some other shit too today. I'm sorry, I wasn't really feeling too well this morning, so I just, sometimes I get in these moods where I just need to like talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And so that's it happens sometimes. Sometimes I get fixated on something and I can't let it go for 54 minutes apparently. But again, 70% of Americans, send me a link to the Vanguard thing or whatever. 70% of Americans, they walk around and they look at the sky, and they're not looking at the sky going, wow, those clouds are beautiful. Look at the stars. I wonder if we'll ever... No, they're looking at the sky going like, Jesus, wow, yeah, where you go? And that's not to say, if you're a religious person, that I think you're stupid. That's not what I'm trying to say here. But what I'm trying to say is the idea that the societal common consensus, I need to clean my glasses, that autism is a disability. Meanwhile, 70% of Americans literally believe Jesus Christ is watching them jerk off. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Autism is viewed as a disability when, 30% of Americans don't wash their hands in a pandemic. Right? Autism is viewed as a disability where we have people in this country right now who have a free vaccine waiting for them to end the pandemic, and they're like, nah. I'm sorry. I don't think so. I just gonna be very honest with you. I'm not convinced of that argument. Not convinced. So I want to talk about more stupid people because I have this whole thing lined up here where we're talking about stupid people. So I got like a two-pronged stupid people post. Okay. So, yesterday, now, first of all, I want to underscore this segment by letting everyone know I respond to criticism on this show. So if you ever disagree with something that I have said, feel free to leave a comment, send me an email, send me a message on Twitter, whatever. I don't mind. And I'll read it when I can. Now, I can't guarantee you that I'll read it as soon as possible, but I'll read it when I can. And so, okay, so I respond to criticism on the show. But yesterday, I did an episode with someone on Twitter named High Progressive, and we spent the show yesterday discussing the General Strike Summit and the Fred Hampton Leftist Podcast Network. And we criticized them a lot. Some would even say we mocked them a little bit. And so we have a very concerned supporter of the General Strike Summit who left me a comment. And I want to read this because I find that this really, it gets at the heart of what we're dealing with when it comes to these motherfuckers on the General Strike Summit, these force the vote people. Like, this is what we're dealing with, folks. This is what we're fucking dealing with. So let's read. In fact, I'm going to need another drink for this one. I've already opened it up for the segment, so. So I have, now I want to be very clear. I read "You both are deeply unserious" at the bottom, and I knew it would be good. So I have not read this yet. I don't know what it says. If you're reading ahead, don't spoil it. Okay? All I know is I saw the wall of text. I clicked read more. I saw it ended with "You both are deeply unserious," which, by the way, is something that Nick, aka Socialist MMA, aka Nick the Prick, says all the time. That's his catchphrase. That's his, like, you know, if you were to think of, like, what's the one thing that Socialist MMA says all the time, it's deeply unserious. You're deeply unserious. That's his, like, tagline. So I knew that this is either Nick on an alt or someone that watches the show all the time, and so they just absorb the lingo parasocially. So I know it's going to be good. I'm aware it's going to be good. So let's get into it. Okay. You do not know anything about FHL. Sky Daddy is not part of FHL! Now, it's possible we said that Sky Daddy is a part of FHL. I don't think we said that. I think that we were just, I think the title of the video is like General Strike Summit Guest. And guest implies that they're not part of the, you know, so I don't even, whatever. But it's possible that we said that they're adjacently related. It's possible. Okay, so. They are a black-led organization that you are just shitting on! They are literal activists in the streets! And that's in bold. You might not be able to see this. This is bold text. That's bold text, folks. They run mutual aids, but also talk about their ideology online, which is not hashtags! It is Fred Hampton, the Black Panthers ampersand socialism! They are not podcasters! They do not blame everything on the CIA! You don't know what you're talking about! Who are you on your guest talking about calling people unsavory? What authority do either of you have to determine what is or isn't moral, or what people should or what should or shouldn't be discussed? So, okay, let's stop there for a second. Let's stop there, okay. So, when I disagree with the Fred Hampton Leftist Podcast Network, as it is currently called, if you're watching this video in 6 months, it's probably going to be called something else, but we'll get into that later. So, disagreeing with something that they say on a podcast does not mean that I think that they are horrible people through and through and that everything they've ever done is bad. So, if they spend their time outside of talking about the CIA controlling Twitter, right, and they go outside and they actually do mutual aid programs, that is fantastic. That is great. I love that. And they should keep doing that. And they should focus on doing that and building that project. Now, I also do activism offline in multiple different ways, right? So if you disagree with my podcast, right, why are you trying to say that I'm like a bad person, or, you know, that like I also do mutual aid. I also do activism. I do protesting. I do journalism. So by your own logic, I should also be immune to criticism. By that logic. But of course, that's not the case here, so. They do not blame everything on the CIA. You don't know what you're talking about. Who are you or your guest to call people unsavory? What authority do either of you have to determine what is or isn't moral, or what should or shouldn't be discussed? Do you know the caliber of guests they have had in the past? Dr. Cornel West, for one. The caucasity of you. What? What? So Dr. Cornel West goes on their show one time, and now he's the human shield. Like, that's the thing. And that's exactly what Nick does. Now, this is why I think that this is Nick on an alt. Socialist MMA, Nick the Prick. I'm pretty sure that this is Nick on an alt. Because for the longest time, Nick's Twitter display name was like, Nick is a Dr. Cornel West Democrat or something. He self-identified as a Cornel West Democrat. And then Cornel West said that he voted for Biden over Donald Trump. And then Socialist MMA was like, nope, can't do it. And changed his handle. So, this is why I think that, like, because, like, this literally sounds like the shit that Socialist MMA whines about online. Now, again, if they had Dr. Cornel West on their show, that's cool. You know, that's cool. That has nothing to do with my criticism of Sky Daddy's theory that the CIA censored her Instagram. You know, like, that's the thing, is, like, these people will, like, I've had fucking people on my show. Does that mean that if I talk about how, like, fucking, you know, I don't, like, I just, like, really, it's a non sequitur. It makes no sense. But anyway, let's continue. Okay, where were we? You are being damn racist. FHL have more to offer people than you ever will. And FYI, to your progressive loser guest, FHL have been criticized by their viewers in the recent past for something major. And you know what? They took accountability and openly discussed it for their audience. I'm assuming that they're talking about when they fired Compton J for doing the general strike segment, and then they realized, wait a second, we can make a lot of money off of this. Let's bring you back on, let's apologize, and then let's actually do the general strike summit. We mentioned that in our show, but I think they just replied this comment on like a random snippet, not the full show, but we did mention that in the show, so. They are not as you both are painting them to be. Do not only highlight favorable comments. OMG, have you ever watched their content? They always show people with different opinions and don't even block people. You are just outright lying now. You are pathetic for this. Disagreeing with a black person on the internet is racist. Duh. So if a black person says that the CIA is monitoring their Twitter and their Instagram and banned them on Twitter and Instagram, and that it has everything to do with and the CIA made a bot Twitter account specifically to interact with you, because that's what Sky Daddy said. That's the clip we were talking about that this comment was based on. Sky Daddy said that the CIA had a bot reply to her Twitter, and she got baited by the bot so that the CIA could delete her Twitter and then also her Instagram. But she's black, and so therefore you can't say that sounds a little kooky. You're not allowed? What? Like, what? Okay. Also, know your place, girl. Whoa. Is this guy trying to say that women are second-class citizens? One, why are they just saying girl, like a pejorative? Two, know my place. What? That's sexist. Imagine if, like, someone, like, I'm not even going to go there, but that is sexism. Let's keep going. FHL are your elders, and if you had any sense, you would learn from them. What does that even mean? I'm going to be honest. What does that even mean? My show has been around much longer than the Fred Hampton leftist show, the General Strike Summit. My show has been around longer than them. How are they my elders? Is it because, like, Nick, aka Socialist MMA, is older than me? Like, he had, like, his birth date is like at a longer period of time ago from now? What makes them my elder? Like, what does that even mean? Like, I'm really, like, that one is just like, I can't even pretend to understand that. Right? What? But okay. FHL are your elders, I guess. And if you had any sense, you would learn from them. Life experience matters. Instead, your arrogance clouds your judgment. Shame on you! The girl you laughed at, her name is Josana. She is an immigrant activist from Brazil that is fighting for all people's rights. All people? Whoa. Whoa, first of all, that all lives matter stuff, a little weird. But, now again, the idea that we are not allowed to mock someone doing something silly without, like, underscoring how great they're if someone does something silly and I see them doing something silly, I might think about it and then mock them doing that thing silly. That is not saying that her entire career as an immigrant activist is bad. If that is her career and she is an immigrants' rights activist from Brazil, that's great. That's awesome. I hope that she continues to do that. That is stuff I like to participate in. That's amazing. But that's not to say that, like, by this logic, right? If I do one good thing ever, no one can criticize me for the rest of my life. So I did a protest against police brutality, right? That means you can't criticize me because I'm an activist. So let's say I, say something genuinely fucked up. You're not allowed to criticize me because I'm an activist against police brutality. Can't do it. So if I, like, one of these days, like, let's say 3 years from now, I decide to say, well, the cop really was justified in that shooting, or what, some shit like that. And someone said, whoa, what the fuck? Why are you saying that? My response will be, well, I was an activist, so you can't criticize me. Can't do it. I did one good thing, bare minimum in my life. Therefore, I'm immune. It's like a vaccine. It's like, boop. All right, I did the good thing. Now you can't criticize me anymore. What? Choking on ashes in the chat. I have a personal story that I would love to give to you after this segment is going, but remind me. Okay, so again, you can criticize someone saying something, and that is completely irrespective of their activism. I love the fact that a lot of these people are activists. That's great. A lot of people on the left should be activists, right? I commend activism. I think anyone that does any actual direct action, I feel like personally that puts you at a higher level on the totem pole of, like, logical, like, people that I should pay attention to. And that's why I criticize the Fred Hampton Leftist podcast so much, is because I know that they're activists. I know that they've done good things. And then when they say silly stuff online, I don't want people to fall for it. So that's why I will pay more attention to them than I do someone like Jimmy Dore. Now, I love to make fun of Jimmy Dore, of course, as well. But, like, I will spend more time dissecting arguments from people like the Fred Hampton leftists because they do have that credential that do dupe people like this. Now, I know that this is socialist MMA, just leaving this on an alt account, but whatever. Let's keep going. Maybe consider that your limited intellect and lack certain life experience. Okay, Again, I did just drink some alcohol, so please bear with me. But this is not English. Okay. Maybe consider that your limited intellect and lack certain life experiences means that you cannot grasp solutions outside of electoral politics or the capitalist framework, that you perhaps also suffer from cognitive dissonance, as everything FHL discusses is credible and sourced. So, you can get me the source for the CIA banning Skydaddy on Twitter. I'd love to see that. Or has a professional in the field to talk about the topic at hand from experience. This is bad faith and nonsensical. Okay, so, first of all, my show, I don't care about electoral politics. So, but again, this guy isn't analyzing my show, right? They're doing this whole, oh, you're criticizing a clip of someone. But have you seen every single episode? This is like if someone saw one episode of like SpongeBob SquarePants, but it was like from season 14 or something, like one of the newest like pieces of garbage. And they said, yeah, I saw SpongeBob, not really a huge fan of it. And then I asked them, oh, you saw season 14, but what about season 1? Season 1 is really good, and then, but you're judging the show based on one bad episode. That's like, so that's their criticism, right? But then they're doing that exact same thing to me. I am also an activist. I also do in-person organizing. I also do mutual aid and direct action. So everything that they're using as a defense of the Fred Hampton Leftist Network is also applicable to me. I don't care about electoral politics. I am like, if you watch any episode of my show, you will know that. But they don't watch any episode of my show. This is like a copy pasta. They don't care about what they're talking about. They don't care about how hypocritical it is. If you haven't seen every episode of the Fred Hampton Leftist podcast at least 10 times, you can't criticize them. But I've never seen or heard of you ever in my life before, and I'm going to make up a bunch of stuff about you because I feel like it. Huh? What? That doesn't make any sense. But let's keep going. So you thought, okay, maybe they have a point. Maybe they've got a point. Let's keep reading. ETA. What does ETA mean? Estimated time of arrival? What? Folks. Okay. Estimated time of arrival, semicolon. Did they mean like PS, postscript? But they wrote ETA? I don't know. The world may never know. But okay. ETA. And this is emboldened. And for God's sake, Jimmy is not anti-jab! Question mark, exclamation point, exclamation point. Edit to add. Oh my God, this person is here. They're here. All right, that's amazing. All right, cool. Okay. Hold the phone. They're here. Do you want to hop on Discord, buddy? Do you want to have a conversation right now? Because I would love to have this conversation with you. But let's continue. How many times must he say it? He took the jab! Now again, on his show, it was said by his wife, and you'd presume his wife can speak for him because they spend every moment together, right? His wife said if he knew what he knew now, he would not take the vaccine. That is objectively anti-vax. If I read a bunch of fake studies, let's say I eat meat, right? And then I read about how bad meat is for your body and I become a vegetarian? Does that mean I'm not, then someone says, but you used to eat meat. You used to eat meat! How dare you! What? He literally on his show says he regrets getting vaccinated. That is objectively anti-vaccine. I don't know what to tell you. So that's dumb. He is anti-mandate and is informing viewers of complications people have had with it. Also, he is factually stating that everyone will get the virus and we cannot jab our way out of getting sick. That is not a fact. That's like saying it is factually that I will shoot you in the head. Now this is I will shoot let's say a cardboard cutout of a gingerbread man in the head, okay? But I have a gun, the gun isn't loaded. Now then, let's say 6 months later, the gun is loaded, right? The safety's off, and then I pull the trigger. And then let's say I slow down time, whatever. And then I say, it is factually that I'm going to shoot you in the head. At that point, after the trigger has been pulled, yes, sure, maybe it's a fact. But to say it is factual that everyone will get the virus when that is like before I've even loaded the gun, that's not the case. We are still, that's like saying it is factually speaking that climate change is going to burn the whole planet up and everyone's going to die. That's just facts. It's just factual. How about we maybe try to intervene? How about maybe we try to stop that from happening? Maybe? Think about it, but okay. Many credible doctors have stated this. I would love to have sources on that. Look outside of your damn echo chamber. You both are deeply unserious. So first of all, I would like to say welcome to the stream, Nick. I know we were planning on doing a show last year before you went full crazy. If you still want to do the show, let me know, because I'm interested. And if not, I would consider you a beta male. So I'm just throwing that out there. If you are afraid to defend your own ideas, you're a beta male. It's that simple. But I would love to see the credible doctors that said that every human on Earth will get the coronavirus and that vaccines don't do anything. I would love to see those credible doctors, because I don't believe that they exist. And so, I'm open to having this conversation. But again, at the end of the day, the only logical criticism that you portrayed was that I am not an activist, therefore if someone else is an activist, that I should not be allowed to criticize them. And that criticism makes no sense when you consider that I am an activist. And you can literally look at all my activism online. It's publicly available. So, that's weird. Like in the show that you're leaving a comment on, like the snippet from, the show starts off with me talking about a protest I attended. So the idea that you're going to say that I'm not an activist or like that FHL are my elders, so is Joe Biden. Joe Biden's my elder. Does that mean we have to listen to everything Joe Biden? Well, he's my elder. Huh? Donald Trump, he's my elder. Yeah, stop the steal, y'all. Yeah. Well, he's my elder. Of course I gotta do it. What? The fuck? What? Like, I'm just trying to, it makes no sense. Like, with the criticism is, again, this motherfucker says, have you even seen have you seen my content? Clearly not. If you don't know that I am an activist, you clearly haven't seen my content. And if you haven't seen my content, how dare you even criticize me? What? I'm sorry, but I'm not falling for that. And neither is my audience, because I cultivate an audience of people that are of a certain kind of intelligence, and they've got a decent bullshit detector. Those are the people that watch my stream. People with a very decent bullshit detector. And if you're trying to peddle bullshit in my stream, anyone that reads this comment and knows anything about me is going to immediately know that you're stupid. Like, anyone that's seen any one of my shows ever, reading this comment, they're going to know it's full of shit. So you're only speaking to yourself. You're only speaking to your echo chamber. You're only speaking to people that are going to load the video, pause it, and scroll down and read the comments, and they don't know anything about the video. They don't know anything about me. Right? You know that kind of person, right? That will see the title of a video, pause it immediately, scroll down, and cry and whine in the comment section. That's the only person you're appealing to. And to be honest, go for it. I don't care. Because the more people comment on my videos, right, the more people see that shit and they'll leave you a comment and say, they're damn right, fuck that tranny, or whatever the fuck the Jimmy Dore fans are doing nowadays, right? That's going to be more views for me. And more views is more money. So, feel free to continue leaving comments. Feel free to continue replying to people in the comments, telling them that I'm a sellout electoralist. Imagine actually looking at any of my body of work and thinking I'm an electoralist. Like, oh yeah, Andrea, the famous electoralist. Again, anyone that knows anything about me is going to see like the first couple of sentences in that and know that you're peddling bullshit. So, but thank you for the comment. I appreciate it. Now, with that being said, let's roll into the second segment here that I've got planned. So, Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. was on a live show and was asked about the Fred Hampton Leftist podcast. This was his answer.
It's Oakland, California. We just got back from Oakland, California. Now, The Rock, I have a question. The question is, these Fred Hampton leftists online use Fred Hampton to ask for donations. Do you know about? Let me say this. There are so many people unauthorized or bogusly utilizing the name of of the chairman. Our name. You're saying we in the process of hiding and dealing with these contradictions. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, be black when it's beneficial, play Panther when it's profitable, when Cubs when it's comfortable. Know that's your question, The Rock. Know that it's not sanctioned. You know what I'm saying? No. Cut straight to the chase. No. We've been hearing about these different groups, and I've been really picking my moves about making sure I don't address each. Because, every day, all day, it's constant. A dime a dozen different groups of individuals popping up. And you know what I'm saying? And the deal is sometimes we let shit sit and see what flies attract. However, you know what I'm saying? The deal is, man.
I just want to be very clear. In the analogy here, the Fred Hampton Leftist Podcast Network is an example of shit, but like in a room of shit, and so he is waiting to see if the flies will go to that specific pile of shit. So in this analogy, let's be very clear, the Fred Hampton Leftist Podcast is shit, and right now, it seems that flies are going to that one. So hey.
Shit sitting to see what flies attract. However, you know what I'm saying? The deal is, man, to answer your question, no. You know what I'm saying? And we want the people, and we want to heighten the consciousness, people be very clear to be able to pick out authenticity from counterfeit. And as far as these individuals say, utilize not, our chairman's name and donation, no, that's not sanctioned. No, you know what I'm saying? And we in the process of dealing with it. I say we, I'm not talking about just only the clubs, I'm talking about the community, I'm talking about the people. Again, the people in general. Right on for the update. Right on. Thank you. Right on. And bring it to our attention. We all see different.
So again, now if it were one thing, it's one thing to say, yeah, my ideology is, I would say I'm closest to like a Fred Hampton kind of leftist. That's one thing. But when you make a podcast and the brand is Fred Hampton Leftist, and you sell merchandise made in slave labor conditions that says Fred Hampton Leftist on it, then you are at that point profiting off of the name of Fred Hampton. Now again, but it goes further. The Fred Hampton Network, mostly Nick, aka Socialist MMA, they love to peddle this conspiracy theory that has been debunked by everybody associated with Fred Hampton, everybody associated with history, that Fred Hampton Sr. worked with white supremacists and racists. That is not true. That's never been true. One of the things that Fred Hampton Sr. did in his organizing was try to de-radicalize people and educate people on the history of racist symbols, such as the Confederate flag. He didn't say, hey, you hate black people, let's work together. He said, oh, that flag you're waving, as a black person, I don't really like that. Here's why, here's the history, here's what that represents. What we should really be focused, and then de-radicalizing them, making them not racist. But Nick, Socialist MMA, uses this conspiracy theory to promote working with Boogaloo Boys, a far-right extremist group, where most of the members are explicitly racist, and they want to, quote, bait black people into a second civil war. That is the Boogaloo Boy mission statement. And Nick has Boogaloo Boys on his show and advertises them under the label of Fred Hampton Left. So, that's weird. That's weird. And so, again, it's one thing to say, like, yeah, I consider myself more of like a Fred Hampton leftist. Right? That's fine. That's not the problem. The problem is monetizing a name that's not yours and promoting conspiracy theories about that person. That's the problem. That's like if I would say, like, yeah, I'm a Bernie Sanders Democrat. But then when I say that, I sell merchandise. Bernie Sanders Democrat. It's got his face all over it. And then on my podcast, I'm like, yeah, Bernie Sanders actually secretly works with George Soros to fund Antifa. What? What? So we really need to get this understood. The Fred Hampton Leftist podcast, like, they can be individuals that do individual acts of good activism, and that's great. But you're also allowed to criticize them. And in this instance, it's not looking so good for the Fred Hampton Leftist group. So, again, that's just, wanted to do a segment on that one. Also, real quick, the Fred Hampton Leftist podcast, this is a little interesting, started right after the biopic about Fred Hampton came out. I haven't seen it yet, but it came out, right? And then Fred Hampton was trending on Twitter, and then that's where they started their podcast. So it's not like they were deep disciples or whatever of the, studious history of Fred Hampton. They watched a movie and said, yo, that's epic, and then made it their entire brand. There was this one I covered this one segment on my show at one point, where on the Fred Hampton podcast, when citing a historical event, they played a clip from the movie instead of reading an article on the actual historic event using photography or video from this. They cited Fred Hampton's activism and played a clip from the movie. Hey, I don't know what to tell you. It's a little weird. So I don't know. I wanted to talk about this because I think it's pretty fascinating. But yeah. So anyway, I guess the show's over. So what's up, folks? Let's chit-chat for a bit. Am I okay? I am fine. Ping Pong Association and ask them if they like King Kong. Alright, for you? Alright. Alright. Psych! Psych! No, I'm not doing it. Psych. Not. Oh yeah, Choki. You were discussing a certain individual earlier, sexually harassing people and then claiming that they're racist for talking about it. I wanted to tell you that I have had a personal experience with the individual that you're talking to, and I don't know what happened in the Majority Report stream or whatever when he called in, but I can tell you just from my personal experience, that same exact thing happened to me. And even better, mysteriously, they stopped like hitting on me every day when I made like a post about being trans on my page. They like, oh, I didn't know you were trans, and then said, but I love trans people too, and then never messaged me again. So hey, you know, like, that's weird, right? Like, that's but like, I do have personal experience with that one, and it's you know, it's pretty funny. I don't know what to tell you, but yeah, I wanted to comment on that because you brought it up, and it's pretty funny. But yeah, what happened yesterday? Got DB Cooper in the chat. I haven't seen an episode of the Majority Report since April 21st. Oh God, Unknown Stoyle. You being trans makes me want you even harder. Wait, now it sounds like I'm a chaser. No, don't cancel me, no. Yikes! Thanks for the money, though. Anyway, folks, that's the goddamn. And that's the goddamn. So I will see y'all later. Sometimes saying I'm trans is pervert repellent. It's sad as that is, absolutely. But I'm gonna go eat breakfast. So, did I change my... Yes, I did. I changed my stream schedule for the weekends. That is correct. I finished Silent Hill 2 last night. That was great. But anyway, that's the show. That's it. So, that's all I got.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure. 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 Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
Seriously, hot sauce.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure. 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 Force the vote,
I hate
sure,
the
was a
white man.
failure.
He's of the devil. He was made in a cave in the worst parts of Europe, produced from the lowest forms of humanity. I hate the white man. He's of the devil. He was made in a cave in the worst parts of Europe.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
Or Katie's
Force the vote,
audience,
sure,
or
was a
Justin
failure.
Jackson, or you.
Force the vote,
they
sure,
are
was a
not
failure.
accountable to us.
Force the
They're
vote, sure, was a
accountable
failure.
to whoever the fuck
Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
Let's not kid ourselves.
Force the vote,
As
sure,
Chris
was a
Hedges
failure.
taught us a long time
Force the
ago,
vote, sure, was a
people
failure.
attracted to politics are the
Force
most
the vote, sure, was a
mediocre of
failure.
people. They're not your
Force the vote,
friends.
sure, was a failure.
They are elected
Force the vote, sure, was a
servants.
failure.
Start fucking treating
Force
them
the
that
vote,
way.
sure, was a failure.
I hear
Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
seconding you in the background.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure. Force the vote, sure, was a failure. Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
They're putting their fucking
Force the vote, sure, was a
position
failure.
ahead of that.
Force the
Don't
vote,
fucking
sure, was a
forget
failure.
that.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure. Force the vote, sure, was a
I'm talking
failure.
about anybody who's
Force
a
the vote,
progressive
sure,
in
was a
Congress
failure.
who isn't endorsing
Force the
hashtag
vote, sure, was a failure.
All those motherfuckers
Force the
who
vote,
didn't
sure,
show
was
up
a
today
failure.
at our town hall.
Force the vote,
Every
sure, was a
fucking
failure.
one of them is selling
Force
you
the vote,
out
sure,
and
was a failure.
canceling you for their
Force
own
the vote,
personal
sure, was a
gain.
failure. Force the vote, sure, was a failure. Force the vote, sure, was a failure. Vote, sure, was a failure.
I eat extra sharp. That's what I eat.